Hello friends, today let us learn about tryptophan metabolism. Tryptophan is an essential aromatic amino acid. It has indole ring. Biologically important substances produced from tryptophan metabolism are alanine, glucogenic, acetoacetyl-CoA, it is ketogenic, formyl group, it involves a 1 carbon unit, niacin and NAD, serotonin, melatonin, hydroxyindole acetic acid, it is an excretory product, indican, it is another excretory product. So, from tryptophan in the presence of oxygen, by the enzyme tryptophan pyrrolase, we get N-formyl kynurenine. Thus, N-formyl kynurenine in the presence of tetrahydrofolic acid, by releasing 1 carbon group, formyl tetrahydrofolic acid, it gives kynurenine and xanthoranic acid. So, this kynurenine become 3-hydroxykynurenine. In the presence of pyridoxal phosphate and the enzyme kynureninase, it releases alanine, and by adding water, it gives you 3-hydroxyandranilic acid. This 3-hydroxyandranilic acid enters NAD pathway. Thus, alanine is glucogenic. So, 3-hydroxyandranilic acid how also enters NAD pathway, also it gives you acetoacetyl-CoA by decarboxylations and removing one NH3 and another decarboxylation. This acetoacetyl-CoA is ketogenic. So, tryptophan become N-formyl kynurenine in the presence of oxygen by the enzyme tryptophan pyrrolase. This tryptophan pyrrolase is the dioxygenase enzyme because it uses oxygen, 2 atoms. It is a hemoprotein. It is induced by corticosteroids, a glucagon, also by dietary tryptophan. So, kynurenine, we get 3-hydroxykynurenine. This gets converted into xanthoranic acid, which gets excreted in urine. Also, the 3-hydroxykynurenine in the presence of pyridoxal phosphate gets converted into 3-hydroxyandranilic acid in the presence of enzyme kynureninase. So, this 3-hydroxyandranilic acid enters NAD pathway as well as it releases acetoacetyl-CoA, which is ketogenic. But when there is a deficiency of pyridoxal phosphate, this kynureninase is inactive. So, this 3-hydroxykynurenine gets converted into xanthoranic acid. So, more xanthoranic acid is excreted in urine. 3-hydroxyandranilic acid, how we get nicotinamide mononucleotide from 3-hydroxyandranilic acid? By the enzyme quinolinate phosphoribosal transferase. In the presence of phosphoribosal pyrophosphate, it gives you nicotinamide mononucleotide. This phosphoribosal pyrophosphate gives you ribose sugars as well as phosphate group, from which we get nicotinamide mononucleotide. And from nicotinamide mononucleotide, how we get adenine dinucleotide? Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. Thus, is in the presence of adenosine triphosphate and glutamine. It gives you nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. So, when there is a deficiency of pyridoxal phosphate or pyridoxal or vitamin B6 deficiency, this kynureninase enzyme is inactive. This kynureninase enzyme is inactive. So, we get niacin deficiency, patient presents with pellagra-like symptoms. So, 60 milligram of tryptophan gives you 1 milligram of nicotinic acid or niacin. So, how we get serotonin from tryptophan? So, tryptophan in the presence of oxygen by the enzyme tryptophan hydroxylase, by releasing a molecule of water, In the presence of tetrahydrobiopterin, it becomes 5-hydroxytryptophan. This tetrahydrobiopterin get converted into dihydroxybiopterin. This dihydroxybiopterin along with NADPH plus H plus releases NADP, again become tetrahydrobiopterin, which helps to convert tryptophan to 5-hydroxytryptophan. This 5-hydroxytryptophan in the presence of pyridoxal phosphate by decarboxylation gives you serotonin, which is otherwise called as 5-hydroxytryptamine. How do you get melatonin from serotonin? So, from serotonin by acetylase enzyme, by adding acetyl-CoA as well as by methyl transferase, by getting methyl group from S-adenosyl methionine, you get melatonin. So, this S-adenosyl methionine becomes S-adenosyl homocysteine. Also, from serotonin we get an excretory product 5-hydroxy-indole acetic acid by the enzyme monoamine oxidase in the presence of oxygen by releasing NH3. So, serotonin, it is otherwise called 5-hydroxytryptamine, is a neurotransmitter. It is released from brain cells, mast cells, platelets, gastrointestinal mucosa. In brain, it is present in the form of bound serotonin. Serotonin level is lowered in depressive psychosis, and there is increased availability of tryptophan. Serotonin level also higher, which induces sleep. So, when you take protein rich fruit, what happens? All amino acids is plenty in blood. So, tryptophan could not enter into brain. So, serotonin level is less. When there is less serotonin level, a patient is alert, shows alertness. When you take carbohydrate rich fruit, what happens? Insulin secretion is higher, amino acid level in the blood is lowered. So, more tryptophan could enter into the brain. So, serotonin level is higher, which induces sleep. So, serotonin, which is released by Tryptophan cells in the gastrointestinal tract. So, what happens when there is a cancer condition called Tryptophanoma or carcinoid tumors? So, more serotonin is released. So, more tryptophan is diverted for the release of serotonin. So, patient shows niacin deficiency and pellagra-like symptoms. Also, more HIAA excretion is increased because more excretory product also formed when there is a formation of excess serotonin. So, what does serotonin do? It helps the body to heal faster. It stimulates the areas of the brain that are in control of sleep-wake cycle. It can cause depression, libido when levels are too high. It can cause osteoporosis when levels are too high. It reduces feelings of depression and anxiety. It helps the body expel the food quicker than normal. What is the normal level of serotonin in our blood? It is 50 to 200 nanogram per ml. But when there is a cancerous conditions like carcinoid tumors, it goes beyond 400 nanogram per ml. 5-hydroxy-indole acetic acid, normally per day it is 2 to 7 milligram is excreted. But when there is a conditions like carcinoid tumor, it is more than 25 milligram per day. In metastatic carcinoid tumors, it is more than 350 milligram per day. And we should not get confused with melanin and melatonin, they are different. Melanin is a pigment of hair and skin. It is synthesized from tyrosine. But melatonin is a neurotransmitter. It is synthesized from tryptophan. Melatonin is released from pineal gland. It blocks ACTH and MSH secretion, adrenocorticotropic hormone and melanocyte stimulating hormone secretions. It is connected with diurnal variations. So, the functions of melatonin: day-night rhythm control, sleep promotions, antioxidant defense, bone growth, regulation of hormonal release for reproduction and sexual maturations, immunomodulations, neuroprotection, tumor suppression. And the major excrete product of tryptophan, which is indigen. How it is formed? So, tryptophan by transamination in the presence of pyridoxal phosphate. Transamination, which is alpha ketoglutaric acid, becomes glutamic acid, and tryptophan gets converted into indopyruvic acid. This indopyruvic acid by decarboxylation and by adding oxygen and sulfate, it becomes indigen. It is a major excretory product of tryptophan. The clinical condition Hartnup disease, it is named after the first family in whom the disease was detected. It is an inherited autosomal recessive disorder where the absorption of tryptophan is defective, as well as reabsorption from kidney is defective. So, when there is a tryptophan deficiency, we get niacin deficiency. Patient presents with pellagra-like symptoms. Patient will have dermatitis, ataxia, aminoaciduria. There is a test called the Obermeyer test. Here we can detect the increased excretion of indole compounds can be detected by this test, Obermeyer test. And thus tryptophan deficiency you can treat with a high protein diet, as well as if there is deficiency of niacin, you give oral niacin 300 milligram per day. So, what is the summary of tryptophan metabolism? Tryptophan N-formylchironin releases one carbon group, formyl tetrahydrofolic acid. N-formylchironin become kynurenine. Thus, kynurenine gets converted into 3-hydroxykynurenine, from where we get 3-hydroxyandrolic acid and alanine. It is glucogenic. The 3-hydroxyandrolide enters the NAD pathway, as well as it releases acetoacetyl CoA, which is ketogenic, as well as we get serotonin and melatonin. So, tryptophan gives you serotonin, gives you melatonin by getting methyl group from S-adenosyl methionine. Simultaneously, it also releases 5-hydroxy-indole acetic acid by the enzyme monoamine oxidase. The other major excretory product of tryptophan is indigen. It is released by decarboxylation and by adding oxygen and sulfate group. That's all about tryptophan metabolism. Thank you.